Hi, everyone. So before we start lesson 12.2, I just want to clear some things up. So the second day of each lesson is the day when you're supposed to be watching the video. I know it is helpful to some of you to be completing your work. So like the first 4 pages that we're going to be going over in this video, for example, while watching the video, but also the video gives all of the answers. So if you're watching the video and not pausing it to think about what I'm saying before I give the actual answers, that's probably what you should be doing. Also with that, I'm just going to be posting the videos like I have them in my plans. So tomorrow you'll have lesson 12.3 and the video will not be posted until Friday. So because that's the day you're supposed to watch the video anyway, it's part of your assignment. And I've only gotten a handful of people telling you that they've been watching the videos. So if you aren't, because this apparently makes sense to you, that's fine, but you still should be watching the videos because that's part of the assignment. And obviously there's no way to prove to me that you've actually watched them, but hopefully you are. And you should still be trying to turn in your work daily if you can. So if you're able to complete your work and turn it in daily, that's ideal. And I've told some of you before that you don't, as long as it's completed, you will be receiving credit for it. And that's the same for this. So as long as I can see that you're trying and maybe we've just made a couple mistakes and you didn't leave anything blank, then you'll still be receiving credit for this. So now we're going to get started with lesson 12.2, fractions and regions. So I can use a fraction to represent multiple copies of a unit fraction. And remember, a unit fraction is where there is only the number 1 on top and the number on the bottom is however many spaces there are altogether. So going into the solvent share, Pat made a garden in the shape of a rectangle and divided it into 4 equal-sized parts. She planted flowers in three of the parts. Draw a picture of what Pat's garden might look like. So to say that she drew 4 equal parts, I have to make 4 equal spaces. So, sorry, that's about equal. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So my 4 equal parts are a part of Pat's garden. You also could have drawn, excuse me, rectangle, but like this to make about 4 equal, but they're up and down instead of the little like boxes side to side. So one way you could have filled in 3 parts. So she planted flowers in 3 of the parts. So I could have filled in this part, or I could have drawn flowers in this part, filled in this part, and then filled in this part if I did it this way. If you did it where they were up and down, filled in this part and this part and this part. So there's just the 1 blank in each because 3 out of the 4 equal sized parts. So in each one of them, if I were to say the unit fraction for each, how many parts are there all together? Not how many parts are shaded in, how many are there all together? There are 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So each one, that's 1/4, that's 1/4, that's 1/4, and that's 1/4. Now, if I were to talk about the shaded in parts, how many are shaded in? 1, 2, 3. I have my 3 right here. And out of how many? 4. Okay, just like this is 1/4, this is 1/4, this is 1/4, and this is 1/4. But how many are shaded in? 3 out of the 4. 3/4 are shaded. And again, if you drew little flowers or anything in there, that's totally fine. Because in the little speech bubble, it says model with math. So basically, draw a picture, use a tool, something to show your math problem. I obviously drew pictures, and you hopefully did too, because it did say to draw a picture for this one. You can use what you know to draw a picture to represent Pat's garden. So again, you could have drawn any symbols you wanted really in these. If you want to do something close to a flower, or if you just colored them in, that's fine. Moving down. How many parts of Pat's garden do not have flowers? So I'm just going to go back and just draw just this one really quick. And remember, the parts that are colored in or have the squiggle line in them are the parts that do have flowers. They have flowers. Now, how many parts of Pat's garden do not have flowers? So how many parts aren't filled in? One part. With the one like that. One part. And it says to explain. So I'm going to give a verbal explanation because it's a full sentence for this. There are 4 parts in all. 3 parts have flowers. 4 minus 3 equals 1. So 1 part does not have flowers. And I'll say it one more time. There are 4 parts in all. 3 parts have flowers. 4 minus 3 equals 1. So 1 part does not have flowers. Remember, it says explain, so you have to include an explanation. You can't just put 1 part and have that as your final answer. Okay, moving on to the next page. The essential question is, how can you show and name parts of a region? So, Mr. Peters served part of a pan of enchilada casserole to a friend. What does each part of the whole pan of casserole represent? What part was served? What part is left? So, you can use fractions to represent more than one of the equal parts. Moving on to box B. The whole casserole is divided into 6 equal parts. Each part is 1/6 of the whole. So this is 1/6, 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 and this is 1/6. So there are 6 pieces altogether, 1/6, and this is the unit fraction right there. Okay, 1/6 is the unit fraction. 6 copies of 1/6 is 6 over 6. So the whole is 6 over 6. And also 6 over 6 is also equal to 1. There's one whole. So if it's the same number on top and same number on the bottom, so if it's the same number here and like if there's a 3 here, there's going to be a 3 here. This equals 1. This is a whole. The unit fraction is 1/6. The numerator is the number of copies of the unit fraction. So again, how many spaces are there? 6. How much is one of these spaces? 1/6. 2 copies of 1/6 is 2/6. So 2/6 of the casserole is served because 1, 2, trying to fill them in as best as I can. So 1, 2. So 2 are filled in. 2 are with the purple. That means and 2 of those were served. So these 2 were served. So 2 out of the 6 spots, 2 out of the 6 pieces were served. 4 copies of 1/6 is 4 over 6 because there are 1, 2, 3, 4 left. So 4/6 of the casserole is left because there are 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces still left. So 4 pieces left out of how many altogether? 6. Okay, I'm going to move down. It says below is a picture of a pie pan. Draw lines and use shading to show that 5 1/8 pieces are still in the pan and that 3 1/8 pieces were eaten. Use a fraction to label the part of the pie that is in the pan. So my important ones, 5 pieces are still in the pan and 3 1/8 pieces were eaten. So I have to pay attention to my bottom number first. Okay, I have to pay attention to the denominator. So what is it? It's 8. So I know I have to have 8 total pieces, 8 total spots all together. So I'm first going to draw a line down the middle and draw a line across. So right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. And I'm going to draw a line across here. And I'm going to draw a line across here. Kind of. That's fine. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have my 8 pieces, my 8 spots, and I have to use shading to show that 5 1/8 pieces are still in the pan. So I have to shade in 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I shaded in my 5 pieces. How many spots are blank? 1, 2, 3. And if they're blank, if they're not there anymore, those are the 3s that were eaten. So how many do I have still left in the pan? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it says use a fraction to label the part of the pie that is still in the pan. So 5. And how many pieces do I have, spaces do I have all together? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 would go on the bottom. Okay. So here, it doesn't ask you to explain. It's just using the picture and writing the fraction that would go with the numbers that are shaded in. And if you want the ones that would be left blank, it would be 3/8. That 3/8 were eaten. Ooh. Okay. I'm going to clear this. Move on to the next page. So this is the guided practice here. So we'll go over this a little bit more slowly than I will for the bottom. So it says, do you understand? In the problem in box A on page 616, what fraction names all the pieces in the casserole? So if you go back to page 616, it says for all of the pieces in the casserole. So how many pieces were there? There were 6. And then how many were there? 6. So for the whole, name all of the pieces, the whole casserole. If they ever ask something like that, it's always going to be the same number over each other. Like, so 6 here and 6 here, because it was 6, 6. So the whole is 6 over 6, 6, 6, which means like there's 6 of them, 6 spots here, 6 pieces in those spots. Okay. This is the talamated cake. What fraction of the whole cake does each piece represent? So again, but for here, they're asking for each piece. So again, we have to look at how many there are altogether to find out our bottom number first, even though they're only asking for each piece, which means 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are 8 pieces all together. And how many would represent each of these? So how much is this one? How much is this one? This one. Each one by themselves, it would be, and this one, sorry, 1. So 1/8 represents each one of these spaces. In the picture in exercise 2, how many 1/8 pieces were eaten? What fraction of the whole cake was eaten? So how many pieces are gone from this cake right here? 2. 2 pieces were gone. So what fraction was gone? Again, how many pieces there are altogether goes on the bottom, and how many were eaten goes on top, 2/8. Moving on to 4 through 6, it says how many 1/3 parts are blue? So how many blue squares are there? There are 2. What fraction of the whole is 2? How many are there altogether? How many spots? 1, 2, 3. That goes in the bottom. And how many are blue? 2. So the fraction would be 2/3. Number 6, what fraction names all the parts in the whole? So this is the entire whole. There are 3 parts in the whole. How much do all of them represent? 3. So 3/3. Pause it if you need to correct your answers. I'm going to move down to the bottom. For 7 through 10, write the unit fraction that represents each part of the whole. Then write the number of parts, blue parts, and the fraction of the whole that is blue. So I'm going to write down, I'm going to go through each one and then like go back to them. So that represents each part of the whole. So how many pieces are there altogether? There are 2. So would the unit fraction be 1/2? For this one, the unit fraction is 1/6. The unit fraction for 9 is 1/4. And the unit fraction for number 10 is 1/8. I'm going to go back as well. I just wanted to do it in different colors. I'm going to use to do them all at once and switching back and forth. Okay, so then write the number of blue parts. So for this, there's 1 blue part. For this, there are 3 blue parts. For 9, there are 2 blue parts, and for 10, there are 6 blue parts. And then, last but not least, it asks the fraction of the whole that is blue. So for number 1, it's 1/2. 1/2. Half of it is blue. For number 8, it is 3/6. Number 9, it is 2/4. And for number 10, it is 6/8. So hopefully as you are completing this and now as you're listening to me correct it, you can see the relationship between the numbers, especially like 8, 9, and 10 are really good examples. 7, these numbers stay the same, like the unit fraction and the fraction that represents the blue. But like for number 8, how much is 1 piece? 1/6. How many are blue? That number goes on top, and the amount of pieces altogether still stays on the bottom. For number 11, I'm going to draw my rectangle over in this space over here. It says draw a rectangle that shows 6 equal parts. Write the unit fraction that represents each part. Then shade 2/6 of the rectangle. Explain how you know you shaded 2/6 of the rectangle. I'm going to draw my rectangle, kind of. And it says that it shows 6 equal parts. I'm going to go down my middle, and here, and here. So kind of even. So that's okay. So represents each part. Each part is 1/6. Okay. Then it says, then shade 2/6 of the rectangle. So 2 parts. 2, 1, 2. I shaded 2/6. It says explain how you know you shaded 2/6 of the rectangle. I know I shaded 2/6 because each part is 1/6 and I shaded 2 of them. So, or you can say, I know that I shaded 2/6 of the rectangle because I shaded 2 pieces. I shaded 2 parts. I shaded 2 of the equal parts. Any of those are fine for your explanation. But remember, it does say explain, so you should be giving a little bit more than just the drawing and the unit fraction. So that is all for 12-2. Hopefully this was helpful to you. I think fractions can be fun once we get the hang of them. So hopefully we'll start to be able to get a little bit more confident in our fraction skills and our fraction abilities as we move through this topic. If you have any questions, as usual, please let me know. You've made it to the end of the video, so congrats. Have someone let me know so I can give you some extra credit. Your grades for your work for math, since it's a math video I'll just speak on, should be posted from like the first 2 weeks, hopefully by this weekend. And then this math that you're turning in on Google Classroom, most of you, some are emailing it to me, which is okay. Try and turn it on Google Classroom if you can. Those should be posted probably over spring break. So, and I'll send an email, of course, about everything as well. I hope this video helped, and bye, guys.